One careless move, and I ended up transmigrating into a tragic novel. The system said that as long as the heartbreak value is maxed out, I can return to my original world. I nodded thoughtfully, before Ning Sheng could ask to borrow my family heirloom bracelet to help his childhood sweetheart save face. I spoke up first. Lu Chuan came to our house today and accidentally broke the wishing bottle in the master bedroom. He didn't mean to, so don't take it to heart, after all. He's like a brother from the neighborhood. He looked so genuinely sorry that I gave him the box of fountain pens from the study to ease his guilt. That wishing bottle was a gift from Ning Sheng for my 20th birthday. Inside are 999 baby's breath flowers, which he spent a month folding, and that box of fountain pens is the wedding anniversary gift I had custom made for him. Ning Sheng's face turned as pale as paper, his gaze filled with shock and disbelief. The system was screaming to stop my harsh words when it saw the heartbreak value rise by one notch. System is puzzled. I laugh. You never said it had to be about tormenting women. Look, tormenting a scumbag can accomplish the task just the same, right? Ning Sheng's lips part slightly, his voice hoarse. Why did Lu Chuan come to our house, and even go into the master bedroom? I put on an attitude of complete indifference. He returned to the country today. So I went to pick him up at the airport and invited him over to the house for a visit, showing him around. As childhood neighbors, that's pretty normal, right? But what he broke was the gift I gave you. He growled through gritted teeth, barely containing his anger. I rubbed my ear impatiently. I know, no need to shout. It's just a glass bottle. If it's broken, it's broken. If you're really that bothered, I'll buy you another one. Ning Sheng clenched his fingers into a fist. Is that the bottle's problem? It was filled with 999 baby's breath flowers, each one folded by my own hands, covered with my love words for you. How could you be so careless with it? You even gave him our wedding anniversary gift. What exactly is your relationship with him? Bai Fang, do you even have me in your eyes anymore? Oh, getting worked up. Are we? TSK. I spoke to him in a disapproving tone. All right, don't be so petty. Haven't I already told you? He's just a neighbor. I only see him as an older brother. If there was really something between us, it would have happened long ago. Why would I have married you then? The moment those words left my mouth, I felt a thrill from head to toe. I finally got to say that classic line from the angst-filled novel. So satisfying. After delivering my condemnation, I immediately switched to a gentle, affectionate expression. Honey, don't overthink it. You know, you're the only one in my heart. Stop making a fuss. Be good. I'm a bit tired. I'm going to bed first. I didn't care at all about Ning Sheng's unpleasant expression and got up to return to my room. My hand was suddenly grabbed. Ning Sheng furrowed his brows as he looked at me, as if trying to discern something from my face. I maintained an expression as calm as still water, letting him scrutinize me. After a long moment, he let out a sigh and spoke, suppressing his emotions. Forget it. Be more careful from now on. C is walking the red carpet tomorrow night. Lend her that emerald bracelet your mom passed down to you. It'll help her make a statement. Here we go again. The scumbag spoke up. The bracelet. Oh, why didn't you say so earlier? I exclaimed in surprise. What do you mean? Tomorrow evening, Lu Chuan is holding his solo concert in the country, and Aunt Lu will also be attending. They'll be interviewed together. Since Auntie doesn't have any decent jewelry, I lent her mine. Ning Sheng was stunned. You lent it out? Yes, that's your mother's keepsake. How could you just lend it to an outsider so casually? See, he knows it's my mother's keepsake, yet he still casually let me lend it to his childhood sweetheart. You'll never understand the twisted logic of a scumbag who writes about abusing women. What are you talking about? How could Aunt Lu be an outsider? She was my mother's best friend before she passed away. Was I wrong to lend it to her? Besides, she's Lu Chuan's mother. When Lu Chuan asked me, I couldn't really refuse. Ning Sheng's face turned ashen, looking at me as if he didn't know me at all. Lu Chuan again, you're doing this for him. He opened his mouth to say more, but his phone suddenly rang. He pulled it out, glanced at it, and pursed his lips, raising his eyes. He gave me a deep look, then turned and walked out to the balcony. Looks like little Qing Mei has come to check on the task. Too bad this mission is impossible to complete. I tossed my hair and turned back to the bedroom. When I first crossed over, I desperately wanted to strangle the system, because this is a classic tragedy of the most classic kind. The male and female leads fell in love and understood each other, walking through 6 years of dating and 4 years of marriage, but the appearance of the male lead's childhood sweetheart shattered everything. For the sake of his childhood sweetheart, The male lead gradually lowered his boundaries, allowing her to frame and scheme, until he drove the female lead into depression, leading her to jump to her death. Only after the female lead's death did the male lead finally come to regret it all. The male lead in this angst-filled story is just plain despicable. You'd think he loves the female lead, yet he's always two-timing, taking advantage of her unwavering devotion to him, always siding with his childhood sweetheart and causing the female lead endless heartache. You'd think he doesn't love the female lead, yet after her death, he becomes utterly distraught, turning around to torment his childhood sweet friend until she's neither human nor ghost, wishing she could join the female lead in the grave. It's all about not cherishing what you have until it's gone, and then being filled with regret, yet the audience is still buying into it. But in this kind of story, it's a good thing the scumbag truly loves the female lead, that is, me, by Fong. So when I treat him the way he's about to treat me, that's when he truly breaks down. I mean, why go through the trouble of tormenting yourself just to accumulate heartbreak points? I'm not doing anything that harms my own breasts. Be gentle with yourself, go crazy and take down others. Let me get out of the way of a scumbag's tricks first. System says, 6. I said, stop with the 6. Check how much heartbreak value is there. 10%, when you spoke up for Lu Chuan just now. He was genuinely heartbroken. I smiled brightly. This is just the beginning. There's plenty more pain in store for him. A scumbag is a scumbag precisely because he sees nothing wrong with his overstepping behavior. Without my emerald bracelet to steal the show, Ning Sheng brought out the pigeon's blood ruby necklace he had acquired at an auction. Along with matching earrings, rings, and other accessories, Gu Si, a barely known actress, won the photographer's favor with this set of jewelry and quickly gained popularity online. After the red carpet and banquet, Ning Sheng personally went to pick her up. Unfortunately, they were caught by the paparazzi. For a time, the love affair between the unknown actress and the domineering CEO spread like wildfire. Gu Si's fame rose another notch. In the original story, Ning Sheng's explanation was very perfunctory, merely calling it a misunderstanding. The female lead was so angry she couldn't sleep all night. I suppose he intended to explain it to me that way as well, but unfortunately, he couldn't find me, because while he was picking up Gu Si, I was also attending Lu Chuan's concert. Lu Chuan is a pianist, a graduate of a prestigious music school abroad, who has held one personal concert after another. In terms of reputation, his fame far surpasses that of Gu Si, a relatively unknown figure. After Lu Chuan's concert, a fan accidentally captured a photo of us dining together at a romantic restaurant. Moreover, due to the angle of the photo, the way I was talking to Lu Chuan looked very much like we were kissing. The photo quickly caused a huge uproar after being uploaded online. Its popularity swiftly overshadowed the recently hyped-up gossip about Gu Si. Like Gu Si, Lu Chuan did not clarify his own rumors on the internet. For a while, it was quite a lively scene. When I returned home slightly tipsy, Ning Sheng was sitting on the sofa. In front of him was an ashtray with glowing embers, already about half full of ash. I frowned, waving my hand to disperse the heavy smell of smoke. It's so late. Why are you still in the living room? Thud. Ning Sheng threw his phone onto the table. The screen showed a picture of me and Lu Chuan seemingly kissing. Aren't you going to explain? I calmly set down my bag. Just having a meal, normal social interaction. Can you even kiss while eating? Ning Sheng sprang to his feet with a sharp sound. By Fong, do you take me for a fool? I looked up and saw that the veins on Ning Sheng's temples were already bulging. The corners of his eyes were flushed red, and he looked utterly furious. I asked in confusion. This picture is just a matter of the camera angle. At the time, we were just eating. The current hype is all media sensationalism. Why are you taking it so seriously? Can you stop being so sensitive? Ning Sheng widened his eyes. I'm sensitive. My wife kissing another man is all over the hot searches, and you call that being sensitive? Exactly. Isn't it just like the rumors about you and Gu Si, all baseless speculation from others? Hearing me mention him and Xiao Qingmei, he suddenly paused, his expression stiffening slightly. I'm secretly delighted inside. How can it be so satisfying to see a scumbag get what's coming to him? I softened my tone and spoke slowly. You know, Lu Chuan just returned to the country. We've known each other for so long, so it's only natural for me to go support his concert. The photos from dinner and all the commotion were really just an accident. Please don't misunderstand. Ning Sheng's lips were tightly pressed together, his eyes red as he stared at me. Unable to speak, I walked up to him. suppressing my disgust as I wrapped my arms around him. Alright, stop making a scene, your birthday is in 2 days, I've already arranged everything for the celebration, I've prepared a gift for you, and I'm sure you'll like it. I still need to maintain some semblance of a relationship with that scumbag, otherwise it won't be as satisfying when I make him suffer later. Ning Sheng stared at me for a long moment before repeating his question. You and Lu Chuan really have nothing going on. I raised my hand and swore, absolutely innocent. After a long silence, Ning Sheng let out a heavy sigh. I'm tired, I'm going to rest first. Then, he stood up unsteadily and walked into the bedroom with a lonely back. I opened the system panel. Heartbreak level, 20%. Nice. For Ning Sheng's birthday banquet, I still meticulously prepared everything as described in the original text. The grand scale. The ceremony, nothing was missing. On the day of the birthday banquet, I wore exquisite makeup, stepped into sky-high heels, and greeted the arriving guests at the entrance. I specifically turned back to confirm that the 6-tier cake and the wine station were in their proper places, with just the right distance between them. Perfect. Not long after, I heard a sweet, coquettish voice. Brother Sheng, do you think my gown looks nice today? It matches your tie perfectly. Gu Si, dressed in a deep blue strapless cocktail dress, dashed into Ning Sheng's arms, drawing the attention of everyone around. How old are you? Still acting like a spoiled child. Ning Sheng smiled faintly and gently tapped her nose, allowing her to affectionately cling to his arm, as if she were the true hostess of the banquet. Oh, I forgot to greet you, sister-in-law. Hello there. Thank you for arranging such a grand birthday banquet for Brother Sheng. It must have been exhausting. You've really worked hard. I wasn't angry either, with a smile. I crossed my arms and gave her a teasing once-over. Sister-in-law, why are you looking at me like that? Did I say something wrong? Gu Si pursed her lips, looking innocent. Ning Sheng was just about to speak up for her when I cut him off. Of course not. I just think your evening gown is quite beautiful and suits you well. It's just a shame that you're about to ruin it in the cake. Suddenly, a soft voice came from behind. Fang Fang. Turning around, it was Lu Chuan. Ning Sheng's face stiffened. You invited him too? Yes. Is there a problem? I beamed with a bright smile, joyfully stepping forward to greet him, and right in front of Ning Sheng and Gu Si, I opened my arms and gave him a big hug. After hugging, she even stood on tiptoe, affectionately tilting her head to press against Lu Chuan's cheek. Her wrist was immediately seized. She was abruptly pulled back several steps by a strong force. Ning Sheng had completely lost his earlier relaxed and leisurely demeanor. His expression shocked, his brows tightly furrowed. By Fang, what are you doing? I was baffled. What do you mean? What am I doing? You're hugging another man right in front of me, and you still say there's nothing between you. You, enough, Ning Sheng, I scolded in a low voice. Can you not think so dirty? This is just Lu Chuan's etiquette when meeting people abroad. Don't think of others in such a bad light. Besides, this is your birthday banquet. If you make a scene now, do you want to become a laughingstock on such an occasion? Ning Sheng was stunned by my sharp words. His lips trembled slightly, and his voice lowered. My thoughts are dirty. Look, which man can tolerate his wife being intimate with others? Do you really not care about my feelings at all? What's the big deal? I snorted with a laugh, my gaze drifting toward Gu Si's arm linked with Ning Sheng's. If you're going to say that, aren't you and her also clinging to each other right in front of me? Did I say anything? Ning Sheng paused, and after a long moment, he awkwardly pulled Gu Si's hand away. It's not the same. Si sees me as a brother. I see Lu Chuan as a brother too. So what's the difference? Ning Sheng was left speechless by my words. Seeing this, Gu Si leaned in again, shaking Ning Sheng's arm and speaking in a high-pitched voice. Brother Sheng, don't be angry. Sister-in-law was just saying hello. She probably wouldn't have an affair with another man, right? Her tone was sarcastic, but I went along with her words. Hear that? Even Si is more reasonable than you. I really don't know what you're so bothered about. Perhaps not expecting me to say that, Gu Si was momentarily at a loss for words. Ning Sheng grew even more displeased. He gave me a heavy look, then shook off Gu Si's hand and walked away without a word. What a joke. As soon as Ning Sheng left, Gu Si dropped the act. She suddenly leaned in close to me and whispered, just loud enough for the two of us to hear. I thought you had some real skill to keep Brother Sheng's heart, but it turns out you're just like this. Tell me, does Sheng value you more, or does he care about me more? I chuckled lightly. Is there even a need to guess? He cares about me quite a bit. Look, He gets so jealous just from me greeting someone. It's really something. Gu Si's smile twisted slightly with anger. She gritted her teeth and said, "Is that so? Well, we'll see about that later." With that, she lifted her skirt and turned to run toward Ningsheng. Lu Chuan took 2 steps forward, standing by my side. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine." I picked up the nearby glass of red wine and gently swirled it. It's time to put on a good show. In every story where the female lead is tormented, there's always a scene where the supporting female character schemes against her, and tonight's banquet is the climax where the male lead torments the female lead. The plot is very cliché, pretending to be pushed, acting innocent to plead for mercy, the male lead getting angry, forcing an apology. Such a classic plot. I could recite it by heart. Now I'm just waiting for it. Ning Sheng was chatting with friends up ahead, while Gu Si leisurely sauntered over to my side. "Sister-in-law, Brother Sheng hasn't spoken to you all night. It seems he's really angry. Do you think he might start to dislike you?" I raised an eyebrow, signaling for her to continue. "If Brother Sheng finds out you're bullying me, will he hate you even more? Should we give it a try?" Before I could even respond, Gu Si suddenly changed her expression, let out a startled cry, and then pretended to be pushed. Leaning back and falling into the cake behind her, I just watched, neither reaching out to catch her nor moving away. Just as she was about to touch the cake, Lu Chuan suddenly appeared by her side and pushed her back with his own body. Gu Si was forcefully straightened from her tilted, almost falling state by his push. Meanwhile, Lu Chuan stumbled toward the nearby wine table, following the momentum. With a loud crash, all the wine glasses on the table spilled onto the floor, shattering into pieces. Lu Chuan slumped to the ground. A long gash sliced across the back of his hand by the shards. "Lu Chuan," I cried out in alarm, my face etched with worry as I rushed toward him, shoving aside Ning Sheng, who had come over to check on Gu Si. Seeing Lu Chuan's hand already covered in blood, I clenched my fists and turned to glare furiously at Ning Sheng. "When did you become so jealous? I've told you long ago that Lu Chuan and I are just friends. So why are you resorting to such low tactics?" My barrage of questions left Ning Sheng and Gu Si utterly bewildered. "What do you mean? What are you saying I did? Wasn't it you who gave the order?" Gu Si has no grudge against Lu Chuan, so why would he deliberately push him? "Isn't it because you can't stand him and told Gu Si to do it?" My anger grew even fiercer, pressing in aggressively. The long unseen system suddenly appeared. "You're really something," turning the tables on them like a pro. I replied with a cheerful lilt in my voice. On the ground, Lu Chuan, his hand covered in blood, grabbed and said, "Fang Fang, don't blame them, I'm fine. If anything, blame me for being careless." "How could you be fine?" My face was filled with anxiety. "Your hands are meant for playing the piano. How are you going to perform at the concert with them injured like this?" Gu Si had not anticipated the situation unfolding this way at all, and could only keep insisting that she hadn't pushed him. I turned and snapped, "Shut up." Then, I said sternly to Ning Sheng, "Apologize to Lu Chuan." The system said, "Awesome, the heartbreak value is rapidly rising." Ning Sheng, his face pale, retorted in disbelief, "I didn't do anything, and you want me to apologize to him? By Fang, today is my birthday party, and you want me to apologize to your childhood friend at my own birthday party?" I looked utterly impatient. "If you did something wrong, you apologize. Isn't that simple enough to understand?" All eyes were gathered here. Ning Sheng's fists were clenched so tightly that his knuckles had lost all color. He held his neck stiff, his eyes rimmed red, and for a long time, he made no sound. Lu Chuan's hand was still bleeding profusely. I anxiously tore off a corner of my gown and wrapped it around Lu Chuan's hand. "No, you're bleeding too much. You need to go to the hospital right now. It's just a minor injury. After all, it's Ningsheng's birthday banquet. How can it be a minor injury? Do you still want to play the piano? Come on, let's go to the hospital with me." After saying that, ignoring Ningsheng's furious gaze, I took Lu Chuan's other uninjured hand and walked out of the banquet hall. As I passed by Ning Sheng, I deliberately bumped into him hard with my shoulder. The impact made him stumble, and he had to grab onto the table to steady himself. I looked every bit the heartless, cruel woman who had betrayed him. System said, "Heartbreak value is at 50%. Did you see Ning Sheng's expression just now? It feels like he's about to shatter." "Serves you right, feeling good." My move is called preemptive strike. Whether I'm feeling good or not is one thing, but I know you had a blast acting it out. Absolutely. A drama about tormenting scumbags and playing the villainess. I could act in 80 more episodes, in fact. Lu Chuan's injury was indeed minor. It just looked quite alarming. I had thought he was really capable of hurting himself, but it seems he still had some sense of restraint. His wound was treated quickly, but I deliberately stayed at the hospital for an extra half hour, and I personally watched him post a social media update about me accompanying him to the hospital. The system prompt indicates the heartbreak value has increased by another 5%. I curved my lips into a smile. This plot development is just right. By the time I got home, it was almost 10 o'clock. Ningxing didn't go back to his room. He was sitting in the living room with his head bowed. The air was thick with the smell of smoke, mixed with the scent of alcohol. It was truly unpleasant. I gave a light cough, walked over, and sat down beside him, feigning helplessness as I let out a long sigh. You really went too far today. Lu Chuan was invited by me to attend your birthday party. He's a guest. No matter how much you dislike him, you shouldn't have embarrassed him in front of everyone. Although I've already apologized on your behalf, since they were injured, you should find an opportunity to apologize in person later. Ningxing looked up upon hearing this, his eyes bloodshot as he stared at me. His gaze shifted slightly downward, fixing on the coat I was wearing, Lu Chuan's jacket. His eyes widened with fury, his expression as if he wanted to tear the suit to pieces. I calmly took off my suit jacket and set it aside. Don't overthink it, it's just a bit chilly outside. I reached for the bag beside me, rummaging through it to pull out an exquisite little gift box. This is a gift I picked out for you. Happy birthday. Good thing it's not past midnight yet. Ningxing pursed his lips as he accepted it. The moment he opened the gift box, he paused briefly, then let out a self-mocking laugh. This brooch is a free gift, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken, it's from the same series as the watch on Lu Chuan's wrist. As expected of someone wealthy, they can even recognize that. My gaze shifted away just at the right moment, and I cleared my throat lightly. How could it be a free gift? I simply bought both items at the same time. That watch was a congratulatory gift for his return to the country to hold a concert. I'm already exhausted enough today. Can we just not dwell on this anymore? Okay. Ningxing closed his eyes heavily, his smile tinged with bitterness. White Fang, have you ever felt that you've changed? Nonsense, I'm a transmigrator. Of course I've changed. Otherwise, it would be the female lead sitting alone in the living room now, feeling heartbroken and shedding tears of grievance. Ningxing's voice was slow. Before, you couldn't bear to see me get hurt in the slightest. Even a scraped knee would make you anxious for hours. Do you remember that time I had a stomachache in the middle of the night? It was just a case of gastroenteritis, but you insisted on dragging me to the hospital. When you saw me wincing in pain, you were so worried you started crying. From then on, as long as you could cook yourself, you never let me order takeout, and on our second anniversary, I folded 999 paper stars for you. You were so moved that you cried for a long time, threw yourself into my arms, and hugged me, saying you would treasure these 999 love notes forever. You said that when we're old and gray, we'd open them one by one to reminisce, and then tell our love story to our son and our grandson. We've been through so much together, from having nothing to what we have now. So why have you changed? You're no longer worried about me, and when you come home, you're still wearing another man's coat. By Fang, do you really still love me? Love my ass. Only someone with a hole in their head would love you. Scum is just like that. They don't feel the pain until the whip lands on their own backs. In the original text, after Ningxing repeatedly sided with his childhood sweetheart and broke the heroine's heart, she also had an open and honest talk with him like this. But what did Ningxing say? He said she had nothing better to do all day at home, just thinking about nonsense, bored, pretentious. Now you're feeling wronged and know it hurts. Serves him right, I patiently replied. What are you talking about? Of course I love you. Ningxing suddenly grew agitated. You defended your childhood friend in front of everyone. I did nothing wrong, and you still made me apologize to him. Is that what you call loving me? Ningxing, I stood up abruptly. Are you done yet? I've already told you there's nothing between me and Lu Chuan. What more do you want from me? You say I've changed. But isn't it you who's changed? Ever since Lu Chuan appeared, you've been targeting him at every turn, not even giving him basic trust. Is that really necessary? Trust? Ningxing retorted exaggeratedly. If I gave you enough trust, would you be rolling in bed with him by now? Slap. I slapped Ningxing with all my might, gasping for breath, letting the chest heave uncontrollably. Listen to what you're saying. You're really going too far. Ningxing turned his face to the side. Wiping the corner of his mouth with his thumb, his eyes dull and lifeless, I turned around. Your constant suspicion day in and day out is really exhausting me. Let's just leave it at that. I don't want to argue anymore. You should reflect on yourself. As I stepped toward the room, I heard Ning Sheng's choked sob, suppressed deep in his throat. System prompt. Heartbreak value has risen to 70%. As soon as the door closed, I almost burst out laughing. Cry, suffer, the more tears, the more excited I become, the system said. I think you're a bit of a pervert. I smiled with an inscrutable expression. To deal with a pervert, you have to be even more perverted. Not long after, the sound of a door closing came from the living room. Ning Sheng had gone out. In the original plot, after Gu Si threw herself into the cake, Ning Sheng harshly reprimanded the female lead in the banquet hall, forcing her to apologize. He then took off his own coat to cover Gu Si and took her to a hotel room upstairs to shower. The shower lasted a full hour. What followed was Gu Si emerging in a bathrobe with nothing underneath, the two embracing and kissing passionately, with Ning Sheng staying out all night. Then came the usual scenario. Gu Si, now pregnant, showed up to provoke the female lead, who, heartbroken, asked for a divorce. The scoundrel refused to let her go, even confining her at home, insisting that they were bound together until death. From then on, the female lead fell into depression. Today, Ning Sheng went out, most likely to find his childhood sweetheart. Based on my years of reading experience, tonight's development will probably involve Ning Sheng drinking by his childhood sweetheart's side while complaining about my scumbag behavior. Little Qingmei will be there, softly comforting him, saying things like she'll always stay by his side. In the end, they'll get carried away after drinking and end up together, the system said. I have to say, your intuition is really sharp. Your husband has already kissed his childhood sweetheart. I made a disgusted sound. Don't gross me out. I don't have such a nauseating husband. Alright, let's get down to business. What do you plan to do next? Keep tormenting them, of course. Ning Sheng is already tangled up with his childhood sweetheart. If you keep provoking him like this, aren't you afraid he'll truly give up on you, completely side with her, and ask for a divorce? How are you going to torment him then? I sat in the spacious armchair, legs crossed, smiling with confidence. Don't worry, I've seen plenty of characters like Ning Sheng. They're the type who allow officials to set fires but forbid commoners to light lamps. He'll see his wife as his possession. If he lets her go, he'll lose face. So, the chances of him initiating a divorce are slim. Even if it's rotten, they'll rot together. Even if, by some remote chance, he does ask for a divorce, I'll make sure to torment him to death before he gets the chance, not just psychologically, but physically as well. The next day, Ning Sheng didn't return until almost noon. I sat in the living room, silently looking him up and down, taking in his crumpled clothes. He looked a bit uneasy. I said, "Where did you go last night?" "Nowhere special. I was in a bad mood, so I went out for a drink." I saw through it but didn't call it out, withdrawing my scrutinizing gaze with an air of indifference. "If you've sorted yourself out, you should apologize to Lu Chuan tonight. He happens to have an interview later, and we can all have dinner together after it's done." Ning Sheng was taken aback, his already bloodshot eyes growing even redder. "Bai Fang, I didn't come back all night, and instead of asking who I was with, you jumped straight to telling me to apologize to Lu Chuan. Well, this person is truly something else." If I pressed for details, he would use anger to mask his guilt, scolding me for not trusting him and being too controlling. If I don't care about this, he starts getting unhappy again. What else is there to ask? Didn't you say you were drinking? I can understand you're in a bad mood because of Lu Chuan, but drinking won't solve the problem. The fact that Lu Chuan didn't sue you for intentional injury was already giving me face. An apology is the lightest consequence. Don't fail to distinguish between good and bad. Ning Sheng was so angry he took deep, heavy breaths, his face turning ashen as he threw out an unreasonable remark, refusing to even consider apologizing, before slamming the door and retreating to the guest room. I leaned back in my chair, relaxed, and tore off a sheet mask to apply to my face. I didn't actually expect Ning Sheng to go and apologize. I just wanted to deliberately annoy him, that's all. In the days that followed, I maintained a vague and ambiguous relationship with Lu Chuan to provoke Ning Sheng. It's unclear whether Ning Sheng has grown accustomed to it or if he truly found solace in Gu Si's presence. The heartbreak value remained stuck at 85%. Refusing to climb any higher, the system grew anxious. "Think of something. Your previous methods are useless against Ning Sheng now. If the mission fails, neither of us will get off lightly. I stretched gracefully. No need to rush. The real show hasn't even begun yet. The pregnant mistress hasn't even come knocking yet. Besides, I haven't submitted the evidence I've been gathering behind Ning Sheng's back to the police yet. In the blink of an eye, the doorbell rang. I said, "Look, the show's coming to us." Sure enough, standing outside the door was Gu Si. Her face glowing with excitement, just as in the original story. She acted as if she were the mistress of this house, walking in and settling herself on the sofa before tossing a report from her bag toward me. I quietly pressed the record button on my voice recorder, picked up the report with feigned curiosity, and furrowed my brow. What do you mean? The literal meaning of the report is that I'm pregnant. I pinched my thigh hard, making my voice tremble with pain. Is it Ning Sheng's? Of course, otherwise why would I come to you, dear sister-in-law? Impossible. I don't believe it. Ning Sheng said he only sees you as a sister. You must be lying to me. Seriously, you actually believe that kind of excuse from your sister? Gu Si let out a very mocking laugh. On Brother Sheng's birthday night, he didn't come home, did he? Guess who he was with? I fell silent appropriately. You really are something else. Sheng Gu has been coming to my place quite often these days. And you haven't even noticed. I was hoping you'd take the initiative to file for divorce. I never expected you to be so useless that I'd have to come here and remind you in person. I believe you understand what I mean. My child is the eldest son of the Ning family and cannot be born a bastard. So, I'll have to trouble you to step aside and let me take your place as Mrs. Ning. I was genuinely thunderstruck. Eldest son. Indeed, is she a remnant of feudalism? I cursed, idiot, 10 times in my heart before speaking in a low voice. This is just a report slip. It could be fake. Even if you are really pregnant, how can I confirm that this child is Ningsheng's? I still stand by my words. Ningsheng and I have been married for 4 years, and I don't believe he would betray me. Gu Si didn't expect me to not even believe this and abruptly stood up. Fine, you don't believe me. I have plenty of ways to make you believe. Take a look at this. She pulled up a video on her phone and shoved it right in front of my face. In the footage, 2 people were completely naked, their moans clearly audible. Damn, my eyes. The video played for half a minute. Now do you believe it? My voice trembled even more violently, actually out of disgust. You actually. How could Ningsheng? How could he treat me like this? I burst into tears with Shen Huan level acting skills. Gu Si was very satisfied. The facts are right in front of you. Brother Sheng is already mine. I advise you to step aside sooner rather than later. I don't want to wait too long. With that, she smugly slung her bag over her shoulder, lifted her chin, and strode off again. To be honest, I've always thought Gu Si was pretty foolish. No matter how you look at it, even if she's a D-list celebrity, she's still a public figure. Yet she doesn't even try to hide the fact that she's a mistress. She even dares to provoke the wife. Netizens are always the most interested in gossip. In the original story, the female lead had always kept a low profile and never revealed her identity on her social media accounts. Ningsheng also never publicly announced that he was married, so when Gu Si and Ningsheng were seen getting too close, the gossip-loving crowd simply thought they were a perfect match. So when I posted the recording online, along with the marriage certificate and a long, pitiful, attention-grabbing text strongly accusing Gu Si of meddling in someone else's marriage, it didn't even need a paid promotion to reach the top of the trending list through organic traffic. The hashtag even had a bright red, explosive, tag next to it. This time, Gu Si was dumbfounded. She never expected that I would completely disregard the Ning family's reputation and expose the matter to the public. According to the system, she cried and threw a tantrum at Ningsheng, so enraged that she suffered a threatened miscarriage and had to be hospitalized for fetal protection. On the way, she was chased and photographed by a swarm of paparazzi, further solidifying the fact that she was the other woman. During this time, Ningsheng called me over 40 times. And I didn't answer a single one. I could easily guess what he wanted to say. He'd probably call me heartless, claim that even if he made the same mistake every man in the world makes, I shouldn't be so cruel and leave him with no way out. I don't have the time to waste listening to his nonsense. After all, I'm still brewing something much bigger. 3 days later, Gu Si's pregnancy stabilized. Ningsheng finally had time to come and confront me, but I wasn't at home, nor was I at the company. But in Lu Chuan's private piano room where he usually practices, Ningsheng went through a lot of trouble to find my current location. Of course, there was an element of me intentionally leaking it. I asked the system, saying, "Where is Ning Sheng? Has he come upstairs?" The system said, "Just out of the stairs, almost at the door. You can start your performance now." I cleared my throat and immediately got into character, speaking to Lu Chuan with deep affection. "My feelings for Ning Sheng were all an act. How could he ever compare to you? If you hadn't gone abroad, where would he have had a chance? He was just the most persistent among my admirers back then. Haven't you noticed? He has a dimple when he smiles, just like you. Every time I see him, I can't help but think of you. You said you weren't coming back, so I had to make do and marry him. If you had returned earlier, everything would have been different." Gu Si, I'm not angry. I don't care at all what happens between Ning Sheng and her. I only care about which women are still by your side, but I still have to thank Gu Si. That woman is truly foolish. She gave me the perfect opportunity to ask Ning Sheng for a divorce. Now that Ning Sheng is at fault, I can not only get rid of him but also take more than half of his assets. Once the divorce is settled, I'll marry you with his money. Okay." With a loud crash, the door was violently kicked open. Ning Sheng's face was as pale as a ghost, his eyes wide as if they might pop out, his lips trembling violently. He spoke word by word, his voice seething with rage. "White Fang, are you telling the truth? All these years, you've been treating me as a substitute." Six eyes met. The scene fell into a momentary dead silence. Lu Chuan was the first to rise from the piano, positioning himself protectively in front of me. Ning Sheng ground his molars, his expression fierce enough to devour someone. After a moment of appropriate surprise, I let out a cold laugh and stood up beside Lu Chuan, my voice icy. "Since you've already heard, there's nothing left for me to hide." "Well, it's exactly what you heard." Ning Sheng was furious. He completely lost control of his emotions, screaming his heart out with a voice torn from his very soul. "I've given you my heart and soul for over a decade, and it turns out you were just fucking playing me the whole time. Is it really that fun to play with my feelings?" I looked puzzled. "Why are you so angry? Didn't you also get involved with Gu Si? You even have a child together. What right do you have to accuse me? Oh, by the way, on the night of your birthday party, you went out, right?" "Actually, I wasn't home that night either." I affectionately linked arms with Lu Chuan, leaning in close and squinting my eyes. Guess who I was with? Ning Sheng was completely driven out of his senses by my provocation. He swung his fist, eyes bloodshot, and charged toward Lu Chuan. Fortunately, though Lu Chuan was a musician, he was not physically weak. Not only did he dodge Ning Sheng's wild punches, but he also kicked him flying a meter away. Ning Sheng writhed on the ground for a long time before managing to get up. The intense pain made him hunch over, his features all scrunched together, looking utterly disheveled. A laugh rumbled from my chest. The system said, "Keep it down. Even the vicious female supporting characters don't laugh as brightly as you do." Of course, it's because I'm thoroughly enjoying the show. If all the plots in those female tormenting novels could unfold like this, the surgical department would see a few less cases of breast hyperplasia. I said, "How much is the heartbreak value now?" 95%. "Very well, just one last blow left." Ning Sheng steadied himself by holding onto the doorknob before slowly straightening up, after a violent coughing fit. He looked at me with an ashen face and said, "I must have been blind not to see through you two scoundrels sooner. Bai Fang, aren't you afraid of retribution for what you've done?" I naturally followed up, "Retribution for me, and what kind of saint are you? You know exactly what you've done. Instead of pointing fingers at me, you should realize that all of this is your own retribution, and the retribution isn't over yet." As soon as the words left my mouth, a team of police officers arrived outside the door, swift and efficient. They promptly handcuffed Ning Sheng on both sides. "Mr. Ning, we have received a real name report alleging that you have engaged in illegal activities such as illegal fundraising, embezzlement, and misappropriation of funds during the operation of your company. Please come with us for investigation." Ning Sheng's face went completely blank. After a moment of stiffness, he suddenly turned his head to look at me. "Was it you?" I maintained a proper smile and gave a slight nod. He was like a caged beast, straining with all his might to lunge forward, but unfortunately, he was pinned down firmly. His eyes were bloodshot to a terrifying degree from extreme rage. "Why, Ningfang Group was founded by the two of us together. It's not just my life's work, it's yours too. What good does destroying it do for you? You've got it wrong." I raised a finger and gently shook it. "I'm not trying to destroy Ningfang Group. I'm going to destroy you." Guess who will be in charge of Ningfang Group after you're imprisoned? Ningxing suddenly lost all his strength, the fierce light in his eyes extinguished, as if he had been plunged into utter despair in an instant. Among the evidence I've collected, the amount of money Ningxing is involved in is enough for him to spend 10 years behind bars. After all, in the original story, he was capable of confining the female lead. So his business dealings were likely far from clean. I've said it before, my torment of him won't just stay on a psychological level. Ningxing was forcibly taken away by the police. As he stepped out the door, he grabbed the doorframe and lifted his eyelids. Bai Fang, I'll ask you one last time. Have you never loved me? Not even once, from beginning to end. Oh dear, this question, I've got the perfect act for it. I straightened my expression, my lips parting to firmly utter 2 words, never. That felt good. Ningxing's hand, which had been gripping the doorframe, finally dropped weakly, and his figure vanished completely. Ding dong. Fireworks began to crackle and burst in my mind. The system prompt indicated that the heartbreak value had reached 100%, and the task was complete. Excellent. Applause. After Ningxing was taken away, Lu Chuan turned to me with a beaming smile. Fang, a pleasure working with you. I released my arm from his and stepped back to a normal social distance, smiling politely. A pleasure working with you. In truth, there was nothing between Lu Chuan and me from the start. We had merely reached a cooperative agreement. I used him to bring down Ningxing. After the deed is done, I'll give him 5% of the Ning family's shares. No one ever complains about having too much money. Lu Chuan suddenly took a step forward. Fang, you're very clever. I have always liked intelligent women. Since you've broken free from Ningxing, does that mean I have a chance? Stop. I raised my palm outward, firmly cutting off Lu Chuan's words. Sorry, but I currently have no interest in men. Don't even think about getting close, any of you. I tossed my hair, stepped out in my high heels, and walked out of his piano room with my head held high. Even the sun seemed to be celebrating my victory, its rays shining down brilliantly. I said, impressive, right? System said, impressive. I've really learned something here. Interested in long-term collaboration. I've got a few more scripts for vicious female supporting characters. I was speechless. No need for that. Forget it. This is just a strategic move to deal with scumbags, not actual malice. My lifelong wish is for jerks to stay far away from me, and for world peace. You should also give some feedback to your internal system. Stop churning out those brainless scripts that torture female characters. Readers' breast health matters too, the system said. I'll do my best. Forget it, other people's business is beyond my control. I just hope all the sisters keep their eyes wide open when it comes to men. The most important thing right now. Go home. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. I woke up to find myself transmigrated as the delicate female lead in an old-school tragic romance novel. Following the plot would mean enduring both emotional and physical abuse from the domineering CEO. Defying the storyline would result in electric shock punishments from the system. I chose to turn the tables and fight against fate. Later, they all knelt down and begged me to spare them. When I woke up, I found myself transmigrated into an early-period abusive novel, and I was bound to a system. According to the plot, the domineering CEO fell in love with me at first sight. Despite my impending engagement to my boyfriend, he forcibly took me, even filming a video to threaten me into becoming his mistress, or else he would expose the footage. I felt tainted and unworthy of my gentle boyfriend. So I had no choice but to break up with him and submit to the CEO's demands. Afterward, the CEO got what he wanted but didn't cherish me. Because of my humble background, I was humiliated by the CEO's mother, who threw a check at me, mocked by his fiancée, the second female lead, at a banquet, and sneered at by the servants in the mansion. In short, even the lowest of the low could step all over me. In such dire circumstances, I found myself thinking more about the kindness of the gentle second male lead, which only angered the domineering CEO. He slept with someone else and forced me to watch. He even sent people to assault me, which tragically caused me to lose our child. The second male lead stood up to the male lead to defend me, but in the end, he was left with nothing, not even his remains. I was heartbroken, and the domineering CEO was filled with regret, only then realizing he had fallen deeply in love with me. But I was already disillusioned. He vented his anger on the second female lead. bankrupting her family and leaving her to be violated to death by a group of beggars. I fled, he pursued. There was no escape for me. He knelt in the pouring rain to apologize, saying he didn't despise me. My soft heart led me to forgive him. So out of the entire 240-chapter book, 230 chapters were pure torment for me. 2 chapters were about him chasing his wife through hell. And the remaining 8 chapters were just sweet married life. The system forced me to follow the plot exactly to return to my original world. I listened with a frown the whole time. Did a donkey kick your brain? I was living just fine, and you dragged me to this godforsaken dump, then had the audacity to give me this idiotic mission. Are you out of your mind? What kind of human could even write this plot? I'm tired. I've been cursing for an hour. My mouth is parched. But the system seems incapable of understanding human language. Nothing but silence in response. The current plot has just reached the point where I was forcibly taken. I'm alone in the penthouse suite, and the surrounding disarray clearly indicates what happened last night. There was a blank check placed by the bedside. I got dressed, picked up my phone, and took several photos of the bed and the floor. Then I carried the bedsheet and the trash bag out the door and hailed a taxi. The domineering CEO didn't arrange anyone to watch over me. He was very confident. The system sensed something was wrong and spoke up. Host, what are you trying to do? According to the book, I should be so angry that I tear up the check, then cry while scrubbing myself clean in the bathroom until my skin peels. That would be the dumbest approach. All the damn evidence has been wiped clean. What do I want to do? Of course, it's to pursue legal procedures with witnesses and material evidence. The moment I got into the taxi, my entire body tensed up violently, tingling all over. According to regulations, deviating from the plot will subject the host to varying degrees of electric shocks. In other words, if I really do something, the system can't interfere. Will it kill me? No. It's just punishment. Oh, suit yourself. My bones are tough. Go ahead and shock me as much as you want. As long as it doesn't kill me, making me follow the plot, not a chance. The electric current coursing through my body grew more intense, sending me into convulsions as dizziness and blurred vision overwhelmed me. I could barely stand when I went to the city hospital for the examination. Doctor, I'm currently feeling dizzy and nauseous, and I have reason to suspect I was violently assaulted during the sexual assault. The doctor readily wrote out the forms, convinced by the bruises clearly visible on my body. Afterward, I took the medical records and the issued certificate to the nearby police station to file a report. In the interrogation room, I sat on the chair. As I spoke, I handed over the materials issued by the hospital. I want to sue Lin Guanqi for raping me from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. last night on the top floor of Yuehao Hotel. Rape. The word rolled off my tongue as calmly as if I were saying, robbery. The one who should feel ashamed isn't me. The shock in the eyes of the 2 officers across from me was unmistakable. Is it the person we're thinking of? I nodded calmly. It's the eldest son of the Lin family in J City, Lin Guanqi. Their gazes at me were filled with suspicion, but no one ever said that a victim must appear weak and tearful. Talent, status, and honor do not define a person's character. What does it matter if one holds a noble status? A beast will always remain a beast. The process went smoothly until they stepped out to take a phone call. He changed his tone after returning. Sorry, Ms. Lee, your report cannot be accepted. They used being in a relationship and not calling for help loudly as reasons to make me withdraw the report. I want to speak to their chief. They told me directly, be smart and admit it. No one can help you, and you haven't suffered any real harm. It's obvious who made that call. No need to spell it out. Reading about male leads with overwhelming power in novels never affected me before, but now that I'm in the middle of it, I realize how utterly disgusting it is. The materials I brought were also confiscated. I walked out the door in silence, feeling the weight of everyone's gazes as if they were watching some pitiful, clueless creature. A warm coat was draped over my shoulders, covering the tattered mess beneath. I turned around. She was a rookie policewoman, her face still bearing the innocent air of righteousness. When I first entered the police station, it was she who poured me a cup of warm water and comforted me, telling me not to be afraid. At this moment, she held me in a reassuring embrace, her eyes filled with an indescribable determination and faith. She whispered firmly in my ear, stay alive, I'll keep the evidence safe for you. That day will come. I curled my lips and pulled up my slipping coat, with a faint smile. Thank you. My muddled mind cleared a little. Exiting the police station, a black Bugatti was parked at the entrance. black-clad bodyguards stood on both sides. I wisely got into the car. The electric current on my body gradually faded, leaving a back drenched in cold sweat. The car stopped at a luxurious estate. Though aged, it retains an aristocratic style. The hall is extravagantly luxurious, with intricate chandeliers hanging from the walls and hand-woven carpets adorned with golden threads covering the floor. At the far end, a man sits on a chair, one leg crossed over his knee. His features are deep-set, with sharp, flowing contours, and a black gold ear stud adorns his ear cartilage, exuding an aura of cold arrogance and dark allure. Looking like a sculpture, all prim and proper, he walked up to me, looking down with a deep, magnetic voice, daring to call the police. "You're the first." I rubbed my earlobes hard. "Damn voice fry. I heard you're getting engaged soon. If you already know, why ask? That's like taking off your pants to fart. Completely unnecessary." He choked back a response, his thin lips parting slightly. "Break it off. Be with me instead. As long as you behave, you can name any number on the check. What if I refuse?" His expression turned cold, a faint smile playing at the corners of his lips. "Do you think he'd still want you if he saw how you writhe beneath me? A taste he hasn't had yet. I find it quite delightful. You wouldn't want the entire city of J to see this, would you?" According to the plot, I should be feeling ashamed and humiliated right now, crying in anger, falling right into that bastard's trap. Damn it, my clenched fist could no longer hold back. I swung my right arm and punched him hard in the chest, then followed up with two swift, full-force kicks. He collapsed to the ground, his eyes filled with disbelief. I'm no pushover who'll just take whatever comes my way. Before transmigrating into this book, I was the heir to a martial arts school. The system's usually steady mechanical voice trembled slightly. "Host, you must not assault the male lead." A familiar electric current spread throughout my body, the pain growing increasingly sharp. I sneered. "Oh, the dog is protecting its master now." The system fell silent. I was just about to step forward and continue beating. The pain in my body intensified by threefold. It was a deep, bone-piercing ache, leaving my limbs numb and powerless. I cursed under my breath and bit down hard on my tongue until it bled, barely managing to regain control of my body. Lin Guanqi struggled to get up in a disheveled state, and I suddenly pounced on him, strangling his neck, slapping his face repeatedly. The pain in my body matched the force of each slap. Fortunately, the domineering CEO was so overconfident that he had all the servants leave before our conversation. I hit him while cursing. A rapist still has the nerve to say that. Even if your intestines are short, you can't just shit straight from your mouth, can you? Instead of tucking your tail and acting like a decent person, you dare to strut around in front of me. What kind of trash are you? Slap. 2 more strikes landed. "You damn bastard." Taking sneaky photos and spreading them around. "Beating you disgusts me. How shameless can you be? A worthless piece of trash who'll never hold their head high." The CEO's face was swollen like a pig's head. He squinted his puffy eyes into slits, thinking he looked menacing, but in reality, he resembled a clown. "Woman, you've got some nerve. Don't you dare." I punched him square in the nose, and he shut up, thinking of something. I paused and asked, "Are Li Shatong and you, Lin Guanqi, in a romantic relationship?" He didn't speak. I raised my fist threateningly. He shook his head in humiliation. I didn't hold back, mercilessly reaching out to slap him. "Cat got your tongue. Speak." "No. Last night at YH Hotel, did you force yourself on me?" Lin Guanqi raped Li Shatong. "Do you admit this fact?" I admit it. Hearing what I wanted, I quietly put away the voice recorder. My vision blurred from the pain, and I took a deep breath. "Where's the video?" This time, the domineering CEO gritted his teeth and refused to speak. I'm completely exhausted, seeing his despicable attitude. I don't want to let him off easy. I yank his tie and slam my head hard against his. The impact leaves him dazed and disoriented, breathing in little, breathing out more. Cough, cough. "No, no video." Cough, cough. "I don't believe it. Keep hitting." The system hurriedly screamed. "No video. There really isn't any video. The surveillance cameras broke long ago. If you keep hitting him, the male lead will die." Hearing this, I passed out with relief. In the end, the Lin family's servants came in and found me lying on the floor alongside the nearly deceased domineering CEO. They rushed us to the hospital, since both of us were covered in blood, his face bruised and swollen, and I wasn't much better off. Besides, he was 185 centimeters tall, towering and robust, while I was just a frail woman of 165 centimeters. For a moment, no one could tell who had beaten whom. In any case, we both ended up in the ICU for emergency treatment. He was beaten by me. I was electrocuted by the system for going against the plot. I woke up that very night, while the domineering CEO remained unconscious for 2 days and 2 nights. I have no idea what they were thinking, actually trusting to put me and the domineering CEO in the same VIP hospital room. As the saying goes, strike while the iron is hot, so I pulled out the CEO's oxygen tube 3 times. He didn't die, but I ended up in the emergency room 3 times from electric shocks, quite hard to kill. Just as I was wheeled out of the emergency room for the 4th time, in the hospital room, the butler in a tailcoat looked utterly relieved. He looked at the domineering CEO lying on the bed. He said with relief, "It's been a long time since I've seen the young master sleep so soundly." I sprang up from the bed like a carp leaping out of water. "What did you say?" The butler pulled out a handkerchief and wiped the tear stains from the corners of his eyes. "Young master suffers from severe insomnia. Miss Lee, you're truly remarkable to have him sleep so soundly for this long. Is it true that 9 out of 10 domineering CEOs have insomnia? What kind of decent person with insomnia sleeps for 2 whole days and nights straight? Are you sure he's not in a coma? How could that be? Young master has the best physical constitution I've ever seen." I pointed at the oxygen tube, making a last-ditch effort. "Is this just for fun then?" The old dean beside me suddenly slapped his forehead. "Oops. How could we forget to remove this? President Lin only has a fracture. Why would he need this?" With that, she stepped forward and effortlessly pulled it out. My eyes were practically shooting flames. Indeed, of course he wouldn't need it. It's me who needs the oxygen tube now. Damn it, I'm so angry I could have a heart attack. No wonder he was fine every time the tube was removed. Turns out it was just for show. If he were awake, wouldn't he have to thank me? The night was deep and quiet. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got, tossing and turning unable to sleep. I approached the bedside with practiced ease. The man's face still bore the bruises, his brows tightly furrowed even in sleep. To make things easier, I leaned in closer. I was about to cover his eyes with one hand and his nose with the other. Suddenly, a pair of eyes met mine. The man lifted his eyelids, his tone icy. "Woman, how dare you steal a kiss from me?" The domineering CEO's thought process is truly something else. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Between intelligence and doubt, he resolutely chose confidence. The hand that was about to be withdrawn acted without thought. A sharp slap landed in immediate retaliation. "I'll kiss your damn father. What are you sleeping for? How can you sleep at your age? Made me get shocked for nothing." The man was slapped so hard his head turned to the side, instinctively covering his face with both hands. His voice carried a slight tremble. "Woman, you hit me again. Since when do I need to pick a day to hit you? Strange. Why wasn't I electrocuted this time?" The system spoke faintly. "Host, your movements were too fast to be recognized. Is this the legendary, no martial arts can overcome speed? Can't kill him, and seeing him just annoys me." I immediately asked the nurse to switch me to a private room overnight. The domineering CEO had multiple fractures all over his body. I was left with heart palpitations from the electric shock. As a result, both of us ended up lying in the hospital. That morning, I was sitting with my legs crossed, grinning widely as I munched on an apple. Suddenly, the hospital room door was pushed open. A young woman walked in wearing pink high heels, her features delicate and her figure slender, from head to toe. Even the thermal flask she's carrying is worth a fortune. Her face is filled with anger, moving with haste and determination. I uncross my legs, without turning my head. "Don't you know to knock before entering? Get out." The girl was clearly taken aback and instinctively stepped back. I was in too much of a hurry and forgot. Then she closed the door and knocked lightly 3 times. I casually tossed the apple core into the trash bin 3 meters away. Nonchalant. "Come in." She lifted her chin again, building up her momentum. "What happened to Brother Lin's injury? Was it because of you? Oh. So her identity is confirmed. The villainess from the book, Xiang Juanru, a spoiled young lady from a wealthy family, second only to the Lin family in status, hopelessly infatuated with the domineering CEO. She was his fiancée yet the least favored by him. Later, she and her clique of friends went all out to target the female lead, setting up obstacles for her. Not only did they fail, but their actions instead became a catalyst for the romance between the male and female leads. In the end, the CEO Seeking revenge for the female lead brought the Xiang family to ruin. In short, she was a classic case of a love-struck fool plus cannon fodder. Want to know? She nodded. All right then, go buy me a pack of spicy strips, and I'll tell you, because the domineering CEO had a sensitive stomach, the meals these days were bland beyond belief. Not even a dog would eat them. I'm so bored I could spit. Want to order takeout but have no money. What a tragedy. She pursed her lips and hesitated before saying, Really, you're not messing with me. Stop dawdling or I'll take it back. Without another word, she turned and ran off, her high heels clattering loudly. In less than 5 minutes, she returned with a big bag of spicy strips. Panting heavily, I ate them with great relish. Being love-struck has its advantages. Can you tell me now? She crossed her arms, looking arrogant. I opened another new bag. Why don't you just ask him directly? A trace of grievance flashed across her face. I did. He said he fell. I didn't believe him, so he told me to take my chicken soup and get lost. I almost burst out laughing. Aren't you just stabbing him right in the heart? A proud man like him would rather say he fell than tell the truth. Look at her pitiful little face. I curled my lips faintly. Fine, it was actually me who did it. Who would have thought she'd give me a once-over? Her tone was dismissive. You'll fall over with a gust of wind. Yet you dare to boast without fear of biting your tongue. I have this flaw. I absolutely despise being looked down upon. Narrowing my eyes, I placed my right hand on the corner of the table, gathering strength. With a sharp crack, the solid wood corner was snapped right off. She was dumbfounded. I leaned close to her ear and whispered softly, Not only can I beat him up, but if I'm unhappy, I can beat you up too. Do you believe me? The person before me turned pale, beads of sweat forming on the tip of their nose. I was admiring her expression. Then an unfamiliar yet familiar electric sensation rushed straight to my head. My whole body convulsed uncontrollably. System, host, you've violated your character setting. Right now, you resemble the villainess more than her. Me, none of your damn business. Go to hell. Was trying to act cool, ended up acting crazy. Damn it, this stupid system is doing it on purpose. I'll fucking kill you one of these days. Xiang Juanru's mouth fell open. She grabbed her bag and turned to run, still refusing to admit defeat even in the face of certain loss. You're insane. A woman like you, Brother Lin would never like someone like you. Left in such a hurry that even the thermal container was forgotten. This person is quite polite. Since you're already here, might as well leave me a bucket of chicken soup. Holding the fragrant chicken soup, I sipped while sneaking into the CEO's room next door. The man lay on the bed, motionless. When he saw me enter, he turned his face toward me. His bloodshot eyes were surrounded by dark circles, and his unshaven face was covered in stubble. His expression was numb, with only the occasional movement of his pupils indicating he was still alive. Holy crap. I was so startled I nearly dropped the bowl. Thought I was seeing my dead great-grandma for a second. He stared at me with an unfathomable gaze. Woman, give me a sip. My face darkened as I swiftly freed one hand. In the blink of an eye, 5 distinct finger marks appeared on the domineering CEO's face, and blood slowly seeped from the corner of his mouth. He closed his eyes briefly, then said through gritted teeth, It was originally chicken soup meant for me. Is it wrong for me to take a sip? I froze. So that's the chicken soup you were referring to. I misheard it as, give me a blowjob. Can't be helped. Given your track record, I leisurely took another sip of the soup. If you didn't want it, why do you think it still belongs to you? Missing it means missing it. In the book, the second female lead brought him soup and meals countless times. Without exception, they all ended up in the trash in the end. He could have simply said he wouldn't eat it and asked not to send any more. Yet he chose to remain silent, trampling the sincere heart offered to him underfoot to satisfy his sick mentality. Oh, he also has a severe sadistic streak, taking the greatest pleasure in watching others abandon their dignity, begging him in tears, seeing him as their only hope in the darkness, only to crush it right before their eyes, savoring the despair in their gaze. Even the female lead he deeply loved was no exception. He could watch the female lead struggle in the crocodile pool while elegantly sipping red wine on the shore. One moment he would call her darling, and the next, he could throw her to a dozen men to be violated, all while holding a camera to film it. He could profess his love with words while tying the female lead to a chair, forcing her to watch as he slept with other women. He could even passionately kiss her, then make her watch as the man she loved met a gruesome end. The absurdity of it all. This harm done in the name of love could actually be whitewashed. Clearly, he was the one at fault. Yet in the end, he turned around and bit back. He said, "If you had behaved better, none of this would have happened, because only by tarnishing the victim's reputation can the perpetrator shirk all responsibility." Thus, the female lead was forever shackled with the label of misbehavior, bearing the consequences of all misfortunes. How ironic the so-called happy ending turned out to be. Suddenly, the chicken soup in my hand seemed tasteless. Some people are simply beyond forgiveness. Midnight, the thumping noises from next door were so loud they made my ears ring. Without another word, I kicked open the domineering CEO's door. The man remained frozen in his wall-punching stance. Seeing me enter, his eyes flickered with something unreadable. Just as I raised my hand to strike him, my peripheral vision caught the faint curve of his lips. Something's not right. Why does he look so expectant? The book only briefly mentions the tragic childhood of the domineering CEO, stating that he had an equally abusive father with a habit of domestic violence. From a young age, his body was covered in scars. In the blink of an eye, recalling how he always showed a strange excitement whenever I hit him before, even though he hit it well, I had a bold guess. Enduring the pain of the electric shock, I suddenly slapped him hard. The man groaned in response. His eyes were swirling with a dazed expression. Oh wow, as absurd as it sounds, I had to admit it, I seem to have unlocked the hidden trait of this domineering CEO. He had a serious masochistic tendency, and this kind of violent beating could actually relieve his insomnia. He had all the typical flaws of a domineering CEO, plus some that weren't typical at all. No wonder he never fought back or got angry when beaten. Turns out he was enjoying it all along. The cunning and despicable man. I crossed my arms and smirked. Can't sleep, can you? Want me to hit you? Must be unbearable, since you always enjoy it so much when you get beaten. Having his thoughts exposed, the man's expression instantly turned extremely unpleasant. But why should I satisfy you? Watching his expression gradually stiffen, I slowly added, this is physical labor after all. Can't work for free. The domineering CEO truly lives up to his title, instantly grasping the implied meaning. Woman, how much do you want? I held up 5 fingers. 5 por 50,000. That's fine, I quietly swallowed my words. Actually, I was going to say 5,000. Sign the employment contract, and you'll handle the taxes. Signed the contract, got the money, and avoided the electric shock. After all, I'm just working a job. Sure. The domineering CEO immediately picked up his phone and called his secretary, demanding a contract be delivered within half an hour as specified. Truly worthy of being called a gold medal secretary. In less than 20 minutes, he appeared fully armed in the hospital ward. The man stood tall and straight, wearing a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, exuding an air of aloof indifference. G. Wenley, the most capable assistant of the domineering CEO, exceptionally skilled, yet with a tragic background, appears aloof and ascetic, but is actually scheming and vindictive. He harbors a secret crush on the second female lead, Seong Juinru, unfortunately, while the falling flower has intent. The flowing water is heartless. Seong Juinru is hopelessly devoted to Lin Guanqi. According to the book, the closest he ever got to his beloved was likely when he collected her corpse. Well, that's really tragic. Secretary G, do either of you have anything else to add? Me, payment should be settled per session. Domineering CEO, buy me an insurance policy. After signing the contract, I clenched my fists, eager to take action. The domineering CEO's expression changed. Secretary G, add one more clause. If she beats me to death, deduct all her salary. After being freed from the system's restrictions, the advantage is that beating him up feels incredibly satisfying. The downside is that it's hard to control the intensity. Within half a month, it became common for the domineering CEO to be knocked unconscious. I've been to the ICU several times. The old dean spoke to me privately. His gaze was complicated, his tone earnest. Young lady, you youngsters can play around in relationships, but mind the limits. Don't play my boss into an early grave. At my age nearing retirement, finding another job won't be easy. You might not believe it, but he's also my boss. At noon that day, the domineering CEO wanted to take a nap. So I brought out my newly invented 18 dragon subduing palms, and, whirlwind triple kick, I beat him until he lost all his dignity, howling in pain. Suddenly, I heard a sharp intake of breath behind me. I turned to look. Seong Juinru stood at the door, holding a thermal lunchbox. her eyes filled with horror. Oops, forgot to close the door. Our eyes met, and she instinctively took 2 steps back. If you've hit him, you can't hit me too. I deliberately tried to scare her. No problem. It's just a matter of convenience. Her almond-shaped eyes flickered slightly as she swallowed hard and spoke with forced bravado. I know you drank all the soup. If you hit me, I won't bring any more soup in the future. That won't do. Wealthy love-struck fools are hard to come by, and that soup is incredibly nourishing and delicious. It's a waste to give it to the domineering CEO. Should have poured it into my mouth. I yield. Change the variety tomorrow. Drinking chicken soup every day is getting tiresome. She thought for a moment and tentatively asked, how about ginseng and berry pork rib soup? My dad has a few century-old wild ginseng roots in his safe. I silently swallowed my saliva and said, sure. After she left, the domineering CEO slightly raised his chin, his thin lips curling in a smirk. Woman, do you like eating ginseng? I have plenty of that worthless stuff. Beg me, and I'll give it all to you. As soon as the words fell, a scream erupted. Damn it, I hate it when people act pretentious. I clenched my fists, faking a smile. I said, you'd better beg me to go easy on you. That day, the entire hospital was buzzing with rumors that the director was going to retire early. Grasping a person's greatest weakness is the key to controlling them, and the best way to control someone is through their mind. Now, the tycoon's weakness is glaringly obvious before me. Not only did he have to pay me to hit him, but he also had to watch my mood. If I was in a good mood, I'd hit him. If I wasn't, I wouldn't even bother with him. A week went by like this. He was so sleepless it drove him mad. I paid a hefty sum for this. I glanced sideways at him with a mocking tone. What? No strikes allowed. Do you think hitting you is an easy task? I have to make sure you enjoy it without killing you, and come up with new techniques every day. Who else could put up with you besides me? Working myself to death every single day, I casually leaned back on the sofa, my eyes scanning him up and down, filled with mockery. Don't forget, you're a rapist. My morals are suffering every second because of you. Of course, if you had behaved better, I wouldn't have gotten so angry. Sometimes, a gaze can be a weapon to control people, and words can be shackles that enslave them. He froze in shock, then he closed his eyes, his voice carrying a faint trace of pleading. I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing? He said. I shouldn't have interfered with whether you smoke or not. I really like the taste of nicotine. It fascinates me, so I never hide the fact that I smoke. The first thing I did after getting my paycheck was to buy cigarettes. When the domineering CEO caught me buying cigarettes, his face turned as dark as a pot's bottom. The first thing he said was, how can a woman smoke? The second sentence is, quit it now. I don't like women who smoke. Why can he smoke? But I can't. He could have simply said smoking is bad for health, yet he deliberately chose to define that women shouldn't smoke. There are no words like, for men only, printed on the cigarette box, yet, not for women, has become an unwritten rule. Human prejudice is like a towering mountain. I don't care whether his current apology comes from the heart or not. My intention isn't to teach him. That's not my duty. And he doesn't deserve it. What I want to see is him bowing to his own prejudices. I pulled out a cigarette case, slender fingers plucking out a delicate lady's cigarette. He wisely picked up the lighter beside him. He lowered his head to light my cigarette. I lightly bit the filter, swirling smoke curling between my lips. I don't just smoke cigarettes. I also smoke nosy men. With a slight press of my hand, the crimson ember seared into the man's skin, branding it with a scorching mark. Amid the dissipating smoke, the man's eyes were half lowered, like a tamed wild dog. Perhaps the hospital rumors were too outrageous. Finally, the domineering CEO's mother came looking for me. She arranged to meet me in a private room at a restaurant. Just like in the book's plot, it started right away. Here's 20 million, leave Lin Guanqi. In the plot, the original female lead was furious at this moment, feeling that her character had been insulted. Not only did she refuse to take the check, but she also splashed the domineering CEO's mother with a cup of cold tea before turning and leaving. I silently observed the person before me. The woman had pale skin and delicate features, with wrinkles at the corners of her eyes adding a touch of time's refinement to her elegant and dignified demeanor. Deep in her eyes lay emptiness and numbness, like a beautiful puppet whose soul had been hollowed out. This wasn't normal. If a person possesses a demeanor that doesn't belong to her age, she inevitably carries all the misfortunes of that age. Aunt Rome, I will leave him, but not now. She looked up in a daze, a trace of surprise breaking through her numb expression. She was surprised. Surprised that I knew her name. Surprised that I hadn't addressed her as Mrs. Lin. It had been years since she last lived as herself, Ronichio, the tragic characters in the book. The author of this book seems to favor themes of forced possession and domination. The fate of the original female lead is practically a carbon copy of her sister's story. A daughter born into a wealthy family is unwittingly noticed by a philandering nobleman. After futile attempts to refuse, she endures the destruction of her family, forced submission, and the suicide of her beloved. The noble young master appears refined and elegant. But in reality, he's a mentally deranged psychopath, prone to violent outbursts and fits of rage, with severe tendencies toward domestic abuse. She was imprisoned, and despite multiple attempts to escape, all efforts proved futile. Under constant surveillance by the servants, she couldn't even leave her room and was forced into pregnancy and childbirth. Yet, the child she bore turned out to be a demon as well, trapped in the mire, unable to break free. This is the true misfortune. To grow accustomed to despair is worse than despair itself. I thought she looked down on me, yet after a moment's hesitation, she still said firmly, "My child, you deserve someone better. Lin Guanqi is not a good match for you." Surprised, I nodded with a faint smile. "Auntie, I know, because we share the same fate, the same beginning. Lin Guanqi raped me, right when I was about to get engaged. My fiancé is still missing to this day." The person before me seemed to have their tightly wound strings suddenly snap, tears streaming uncontrollably down their face. Their voice trembled with sobs. "Child, my life is already ruined. You mustn't follow in my footsteps. He's just like his father, a devil." That year, I planned for 13 whole months and finally had a chance to escape, but he clung to my leg, saying he wanted to come with me, so I softened and took him along, memorizing the route and rehearsing over and over. That night, I waited for him at the agreed spot for a long time, only to see him holding his father's hand, standing at the very exit I was supposed to flee through. He never intended to leave with me from the start. He just wanted to curry favor with his father by betraying me. Their eyes were so cold, as if mocking my naivety. Her voice dropped to a whisper, her eyes brimming with endless hatred. That year, he was only 5 years old, a born villain. She gripped my hand tightly, as if in a trance. "You must leave him immediately, take the money, and go." I shook my head, gently holding her trembling body. I softened my voice. "Don't worry, Auntie, I won't allow the flesh and blood born from my own body to become a dagger pointed at me. Justice may be delayed, but it will not be denied." Until it was time to say goodbye to Auntie, I'm still puzzled. How could they think the victim could abandon everything and fall in love with the perpetrator? Even now that the man is already dead, but can hatred truly be soothed by the passage of time? No, halved each day, it would never be exhausted for all eternity. The torrential rain will become a lifelong dampness. "What reward do you want?" "Accompany me to a meal, a gathering organized by friends," I said. "As long as he is obedient enough, he can make a not too excessive request. The way to train a dog is to give a slap followed by a sweet date." Hearing this answer, I looked at him with feigned surprise. "Your friend, taking me to meet them, doesn't seem quite appropriate." Then I slowly curled the corners of my lips. What identity should I use? As a friend, or an employee? Under the light, his thin lips curved into an unnatural arc, and he instinctively avoided my gaze. The deliberately lowered voice grew thick and viscous, like a siren waiting on the shore for its prey to take the bait. "Or a family member." The man's face flushed crimson, as if his tail had been stepped on. "You're utterly delusional. Just go already." She finished speaking and hurriedly left. The female lead in the original book didn't receive such treatment. Lin Guanqi liked her ignorance and obedience on one hand, but on the other hand, he despised her aloofness and foolishness. How could he possibly take her into his own circle? How adorable. Things are getting interesting. As the perpetrator himself, he actually developed feelings for another perpetrator. He scoffs at those who cater to his every whim. Ignoring him only makes him more eager to pursue. This is the inherent flaw of men. They always crave novelty and the thrill of conquest, viewing women from a hunter's perspective, attempting to control everything. Little do they know, some hunters often appear in the guise of prey. They chose a uniquely charming Western restaurant as the venue for their gathering. During the dinner, I sat next to Lin Guanqi. A group of men held cigarettes between their lips, smiling with suggestive expressions. "Oh, young Master Lin has developed a new taste, huh?" When you get tired of playing with it, you can give it to me. Seems quite obedient at first glance. The attitude of people in his circle toward you depends on how much he values you. Lin Guanqi merely frowned upon hearing this, showing no other reaction. Clearly, he was tacitly allowing them to put me in my place. If others won't give you respect, you have to earn it yourself. I took the cigarette pack from Lin Guanqi's hand, flicked the bottom with my fingers, and pinched the one that popped up between two fingers, then extended it toward the man sitting beside me. He had just taken a single puff from the cigarette in his mouth when, out of habit, he pressed the lit end toward me to light mine. I exhaled a faint cloud of white smoke nonchalantly, my gaze sweeping over them as I spoke slowly, obedient enough, in an instant. The atmosphere turned icy, and the expressions of those around us shifted uneasily. A bunch of shrewd people who judge others by their status couldn't quite figure out who I was, so they quickly steered the conversation away from me. I scoffed and got up to go to the restroom. When I returned, I found a waitress standing in the middle of the private room, her clothes half soaked. She lowered her head shyly, revealing half of her delicate profile. The men cast bold, appraising glances without restraint. Made up your mind. The one who spoke was the man who had teased me earlier, an empty glass placed in front of him. Her eyelids fluttered slightly as she mustered the courage to shake her head. The man, his pride wounded, turned cold. Not enough money. Let me remind you, a second-hand good no one wants shouldn't put on airs. Someone nearby chimed in. You should know your place when young Master Jiang is kind enough to give you some face. Divorced and with a child, who would dare marry you in the future? It's not like you're some honorable figure. You're lucky anyone even looks your way. Amid the crowd's mocking words, she fought back her humiliation, wiping her tears away with trembling hands. Tears as big as beans rolled down her cheeks. This is the ugliness of human nature. They bully and nitpick the kind but powerless, while flattering and praising the powerful but immoral. Indeed, birds of a feather flock together. I felt inexplicably angry. Those words were harsh yet familiar. In their eyes, a woman's worth is measured by marriage. If a woman gets divorced, she will be deemed worthless. I took off the coat that had once brought me warmth. I stepped forward and draped it over her shoulders. She looked up, a hint of surprise in her eyes. Their opinions are merely personal. But what I see is a strong woman striving to live and raising her child independently. I admire your courage to break free from a painful marriage. Marriage is for happiness, and so is divorce. Divorce itself is a normal right and freedom. Using the word glorious to describe it is truly laughable. I picked up the wine glass from the table and walked over to the domineering CEO. Without any warning, I splashed it at him. The wine soaked his hair and dripped down from the strands. He was stunned at first, then looked at me in disbelief and accused. It wasn't me who splashed her. Is there a difference? Birds of a feather, the one with the highest status in the group inherently holds the power of decision, even if he says nothing and remains indifferent, appearing neutral. It's actually a form of silent consent. They are already the same kind of people. I turned around, picked up another glass, and shoved it into her hand. Emotions and tears are a woman's greatest weapons, but only when she lacks knives, guns, and power. Now, here's your chance to throw it back. She took it, glanced at me, her eyes filled with unreserved trust and a desperate gamble. The next second, both the wine and the glass were flung at her. And no, sorry, this is my first time throwing. I'm not very skilled at it. Lin Guanqi's warning by making an example had its effect. The man surnamed Jiang couldn't show the slightest displeasure. Instead, he forced a smile. Without a doubt, if I slapped his left cheek, he would gladly offer his right cheek for me to slap as well, all because they relied on the Lin family. They were like a towering mountain, pressing heavily upon those at the bottom. Every snowflake that rolls down the mountain is an avalanche to the foot of the mountain. At first, I just wanted to level the mountaintop for myself. But later I thought about how to flatten the entire mountain. How to deal with a disobedient brat. The simplest way is to leave. When he's cried and made enough fuss and is too exhausted, he'll naturally start reflecting on what he did wrong. I contacted Ji Wenli. Get straight to the point. Secretary Ji. Is Ji Guangshan your father? How does it feel to work undercover for your enemy? Miss Li, I don't understand what you're saying. 20 years ago, the massacre of the Ji family in J City. Do you think it will repeat itself with the Xiang family 20 years later? The book mentioned in passing that 20 years ago, the domineering CEO's father had crushed the Ji family through unethical business competition, driving them to ruin. If I weren't so observant, I really wouldn't have noticed the relationship between Ji Wenli and Ji Guangshan. After all, in the end, Ji Wenli chose love over revenge, after the female lead died. He committed suicide for love. It was a perfect replica of the late emperor's unfinished endeavor, cut short midway, hit a nerve. The voice on the other end of the line paused. I smiled and said, "Don't be afraid, I'm not threatening you, I'll help you with everything you want, including keeping Xiang Juanru away from him. To get someone to help, you must first make them see the benefit and stir their desire." After a long silence, he said, "What do you want?" I replied, "Help me cover my tracks for 2 months. Toppling the Lin family isn't something Ji Wenli and I can achieve alone. The Xiang family is currently the only force capable of rivaling the Lin family. When Xiang Juanru came to the hospital again to deliver soup, I lured her into taking me away. Hey, I suddenly realized that jerk is actually quite handsome. The main reason she could calmly keep bringing me soup was because I treated the domineering CEO with disdain, even disgust. The harsher I scolded and hit him, the happier she became, because it gave her a chance to swoop in with comfort. Though she never succeeded, she froze, slowly raising her gaze, her lashes trembling. I continued, "Perhaps it was love that grew over time." The next second, the soup I was about to sip was snatched away with a sudden force. "You traitor, don't even think about drinking my soup." She angrily held the bowl, stomping back and forth, seeing my gaze still fixed on the soup. She tilted her head back and gulped it all down in one go. "I know you're excited, but could you maybe not be so excited right now? This is what I drank. Stay away from Brother Lin, it's just next door. How much farther could it be? Can't you just go home and stay there?" "No, I don't have a home anymore." "Then come to my house, I'll hide you." Cough. Success came too easily. So, never overestimate the bottom line of someone love-struck. When pushed to the edge, she might even bring her romantic rival home. Unlike the Lins, whose entire family is twisted, the Xiangs come from upright roots. Old Master Xiang served in the military when young, while old Madame Xiang passed away early. They had only one son, and the relationship between Mr. Xiang and Mrs. Xiang was harmonious. The entire family atmosphere was friendly, which explained why their daughter was so innocent. On my first day at the Xiang family, I hadn't had the chance to do anything yet. Old Master Xiang stood tall and straight, full of vigor. There was an air of authority in his tone. He asked me what I thought of Lin Guanqi. Without thinking, I blurted out, "Ugly as sin yet full of tricks, a toad dreaming of eating watermelon." Xiang Juanru's face darkened. The old man let out a booming laugh. "Good, good, what a fine child, truly carrying the spirit of our Xiang family." Xiang's father seized the opportunity to add, "The Xiang family rule, dogs and Lin Guanqi are not allowed inside." No offense to dogs, my spouse is allergic to dog fur, so it's just discrimination against Lin Guanqi alone. I couldn't help but glance in Xiang Juanru's direction. Madame Xiang smiled without warmth. If she weren't my daughter, she wouldn't even have been allowed through the door. Xiang Juanru quietly shrank her head, not daring to make a sound. She should be grateful that the plot hasn't yet reached the point of no return. In the book, the major reason for the Xiang family's bankruptcy was that Xiang Juanru, in order to get engaged to the domineering CEO, was coaxed into stealing the core internal documents of the Xiang group, leading to devastating blows to all the company's projects. If I remember correctly, Old Master Ji and Old Master Xiang were comrades in arms who had saved each other's lives. TSK, no wonder then. The granddaughter fell in love with the son of their enemy family, truly distressing. I followed with a scornful remark, "Traitor, the old man liked me very much, because in the whole family, only I, like him, got up at 5 in the morning for jogging and Tai Chi. I can even play chess." The way he looked at me was as if he had found a kindred spirit. Xiang's parents also liked me very much, because ever since I arrived, Xiang Juanru could no longer fawn over Lin Guanqi. I follow her wherever she goes. I even watch her when she takes a shit to make sure she doesn't report any information to Lin Guanqi. If she even thinks about acting like a simp, we report it to the whole family as soon as it's discovered. Then all 4 of us give her a stern lecture. In severe cases, living expenses were withheld. She's freaking out, but there's nothing I can do about it. To prevent her love-struck brain from ruining things, she had to be sacrificed. After perfectly integrating into the Xiang family, I told them my intentions openly. Seeking cooperation, we share common enemies and common goals. Upon learning about my ordeal, Old Master Xiang was furious and agreed without hesitation. They've wanted to do this for a long time. Meanwhile, Secretary Ji was responsible for keeping the domineering CEO occupied and diverting his attention. My task was to leverage the plot's advantages and secure profitable projects for the Xiang Group's investment portfolio before the CEO could, unbeknownst to anyone. Funds that originally belonged to the Lin Group quietly flowed into the Xiang Group's pockets. Not only that, but I deliberately left him with a few sunset projects. They appear promising on the surface but are actually hollow and impractical. They require massive capital investment and have long turnover periods, inevitably leading to total losses in the end. During the month I disappeared, the domineering CEO searched for me everywhere. He couldn't find it, but someone unexpectedly came knocking. The original female lead's fiancé, Lu Changzhou, standing against the wind in a black overcoat. His gentle brows and eyes held a profound gaze, as if there was no room for anyone else but me. Step by step, walking steadily, embraced me in his arms. Shoo shoo, long time no see. At that moment, emotions surged, and a familiar feeling flooded my mind. My nose tingled as my vision gradually blurred. I knew they weren't the same person. Their appearances were clearly different, but the feeling was just too similar. Fingertips with a hint of warmth brushed away the tears at the corner of my eye. He whispered soothingly, "I'm back, Shoo shoo, don't be afraid." In the original novel, Lu Changzhou, like Li Shutong, came from a humble background, but he possessed exceptional talent in the field of computer science. The two met, got to know each other, and fell in love during their university years. He truly loved her and did everything a boyfriend could possibly do, out of love and understanding. He chose to let go when the female lead insisted on breaking up with him. Later, when he found out she wasn't doing well, even though he wasn't fully capable yet, he still stood up against the domineering CEO. In the end, he died on the road while driving to find her. He was a gentle soul through and through. Out of respect, I confessed to him that I had been raped. He fell silent for a moment, then carefully pressed his thin lips to my forehead, his voice choked with emotion. "It's my fault for coming too late." Shoo shoo must have suffered so much. My eyes grew hot, in a daze. I felt like he wasn't calling out, "Shoo shoo," but rather, "Shoo shoo." Li Shutong suffered greatly, and Bian Shuhan also endured much hardship. Perhaps out of selfishness, I wanted to give him a good ending. I strongly recommended him to the old master, and the family recognized and valued talent. Without the suppression from the domineering CEO, his project quickly took off this time, and before long, he seized the IT wave, rising to become one of the new tech elites. Everyone is gradually getting back on track, except for Xiang Juanru. She's recently gone love crazy, insisting on throwing out all the clothes in her wardrobe to copy my outfits one by one. She even planned to get plastic surgery. She had a sweet, wealthy heiress look, but she insisted on transforming into a cold, bony type. No one in the family could stop her. I pinched her chin, looked left and right, and let out a soft laugh. Bone shaving, eyelid surgery, nose job, injections. Might as well do everything at once since you're never satisfied with yourself anyway. If the procedures succeed, great. He might glance at you a couple more times, only to fall for another type the next second. If they fail, well, it won't bode well for you, but it won't affect him at all. He might even be glad you stopped bothering him. Her expression grew increasingly stiff. I continued, "Don't throw away those clothes either. It'd be so convenient if we just swapped wardrobes. I've been coveting your clothes for ages, so expensive and stylish, unlike mine, which are plain and boring." She covered her ears with both hands, shaking her head frantically. I gripped her wrist and with one forceful motion threw her onto the bed. "You don't need plastic surgery. You need to get your brain checked. To degrade yourself to such an extent for a man who doesn't even like you," she screamed, even bordering on hysteria. "He doesn't like me. He said I'm not pretty. Is it wrong for me to want to become the type he likes? You don't have someone you love, so you wouldn't understand this feeling." Seeing her hysterical, I brought a basin of cold water and splashed it directly on her. She froze expressionlessly, then curled up on the bed hugging her knees, her head hanging low. Tears silently fell. Why should being loved be the measure of one's worth and beauty, if you receive no response from him? It only means he's not your answer. It doesn't mean you're an unworthy one. You can choose plastic surgery because of your own preferences, but never for a man's approval. You are not Lin Guanqi's appendage. You are your own person. There will never be another like you in this world. I stepped forward, slipped my arms under her legs, and carried her princess style to the balcony. The setting sun cast golden shards of light, and between the drifting clouds, radiant hues of twilight surged forth. Shimmering brilliantly, beautiful, isn't it? But the photo captures less than a third of its beauty, but you know it's the lens's fault, not its. When others say terrible things, that's their problem, not yours. In my eyes, you're as dazzling as the sunset. Every girl has her own kind of beauty. There's no so-called right way to be. You can criticize a girl's taste, but don't use that to dismiss her entirely, and never attack her appearance. Besides, I have someone I love. His love makes me realize how wonderful I am. To love someone is not just because of who they are, but also because of who you become when you're with them. If you're too fixated on a man, there must be something wrong with yourself. Seong Juinru's problem is that she hasn't met enough men, so I took the prepared Seong Juinru to J City's famous pleasure den, Fonghua Tower, also known as a host club, with a grand gesture. Bring all your most handsome guys here. Thus, the innocent puppy-like boy, the aloof wolfish man, the mature and scheming type, the younger brother figure, all appeared, romantic, humorous, sunny, cold. Every type was available, can sing, dance, and even twist, surrounded the two of us in the middle. Seong Juinru's eyes were glued in amazement. Had so much fun they forgot to go home, even mastering new skills on their own. Have one handsome guy feed her wine, and another handsome guy feed her grapes. Caught up in the excitement, she kept downing the wine, unable to be stopped, as I helped her, now completely drunk, to settle the bill. The boss smiled warmly. These are all our top-tier escorts, billed hourly at 500,000 per hour per person. That'll be 8 million in total. Will you be paying by card or, how much? 8 million, I currently don't even have 10,000 yuan on me. The money I earned from the domineering CEO earlier, I gave it all to the waitress. I subtly nudged the person in my arms, signaling her to pay. I can't afford it, but she definitely can. Then she burst into tears. How could I have that much money? My allowance was all taken away by my mom. An awkward atmosphere filled the air. I gritted my teeth. The gifts you've given to Lin Guanqi over the years are worth dozens of times more than this. She paused, then cried even louder. How much money would that be? I don't like him anymore. Can he just return all of it to me? As she spoke, she suddenly thought of something and wobbled as she pulled out her phone from her pocket. With a few quick taps, she dialed the number. She even put it on speakerphone, looking exactly like an elderly person making a call. Hey, Miss Xiang, hello. Secretary Ji, I'm here. Ji Wenli, I'm here. Woo woo, do you know where Lin Guanqi put all the gifts I gave him? So much money, it's all money. The person on the other end of the phone fell silent. Where else could they have gone? The cheap ones were thrown away, and the expensive ones were given by Lin Guanqi to other women. Woo woo woo, say something. I don't have money to pay the bill anymore. I still need that money to support my man. The man's voice darkened. Where are you right now? I had a bad feeling about this, but couldn't cover this damn girl's mouth in time. Gold-digging den, all handsome guys. Wait for me, I'll be right there. My life won't last long. Ji Wenli arrived quickly, still wearing his pajamas. His gaze seemed laced with knives as he sneered coldly. Is this Miss Li's so-called method of keeping her away from Lin Guanqi? I really can't argue with this one. After all, the goal was to make her stop liking the male lead, not to make her fall for someone else. Ji Wenli finished paying and took Seong Juinru from my arms, then turned to leave. Faintly, I could hear their conversation. Ji Wenli, did Lin Guanqi hide my things and refuse to return them? Yes, I'll help you steal them back. What if I can't steal it? I'll compensate you. Goodbye goodbye. TXT, I was about to take a taxi back by myself, but when I turned around, I saw Lu Changzhou, equally travel-worn, standing behind me. 2 months after I left Lin Guanqi, he was on the verge of madness. I knew it was time to return. I deliberately appeared at the banquet he attended. Soon after, I successfully earned myself the grand prize of being imprisoned in a villa. Apart from restricting my freedom, he was completely obedient to me. Just taking care of my nitpicking self consumed most of his energy. If a person's eyes are filled with nothing but love and romance, their brain will surely rust. The documents Ji Wenli handed to him, he sometimes wouldn't even glance at before signing. I was lying on the sofa watching Hong Kong movies from the last century, intentionally or unintentionally hinting that I like men like the stock god. He took it to heart, so he went to the stock market to short sell and hedge. Under Lu Changzhou's manipulation, he was steadily winning at first. As he became addicted, he grew increasingly confident and placed larger and larger bets. In the end, he lost most of the company's cash reserves. At this point, the previously invested projects began encountering problems one after another, creating a gap in the capital chain. Then the Lin family failed in the bidding. The scandal of the Lin group was deliberately leaked to the media. Stock prices fell, and market value declined. Under pressure from the Xiang family, no one dared to lend money to the Lin family. By the time he realized what was happening, the Lin group was on the verge of bankruptcy. Beyond any hope of recovery, the Lin family, along with its dependents, collapsed overnight. After the investigation, some were imprisoned, while others took their own lives. Lin Guanqi's brain finally started working again. He fled. He knew full well that I was involved in all of this, but it hadn't fully grown back. He somehow got hold of a photo of me hugging Lu Changzhou. He laughed like a madman. He asked me if I still loved Lu Changzhou. Before I could answer, he suddenly knelt down and apologized, saying he shouldn't have raped me, slapping his own face while swearing he would never do it again. But I know very well, his kneeling wasn't an apology, it was coercion. Even if he swore over and over, men love making vows the most, and their promises are no different from a dog's bark. The dignity he's throwing away now, he'll demand back from me tenfold later. I said, we were supposed to have a beautiful beginning, but you ruined it. I was deliberately provoking him. As expected, the plot from the book unfolded. I was drugged, bound weakly to a chair. Outside the door was a group of burly men. Lin Guanqi told me to beg him. If I beg you, will you let me go? Humph, I'll think about it. No need to think about it. I won't let you go. I smiled as I snapped the hemp rope and stood up from the chair. Sorry, I took the antidote in advance. I was just waiting for you to say that. After all, what goes around comes around. The evil you've done, you must endure yourself. The door was flung open from the outside as Xiang Juanru burst in with a group of people. He ordered others to restrain Lin Guanqi while he continuously slapped him. Dare to drug my sister, I'll beat you to death, you little punk. Good thing I came to my senses early, otherwise my kid wouldn't be able to take the civil service exam in the future. After injecting him with the same drug, I threw him into the room where Li Shutong had once suffered. Then, a dozen burly men walked in. I stepped back and closed the door. Enjoy your feast. The male lead of the world truly has a strong fate. He still didn't die. I handed over the collected evidence, along with that voice recorder, to the police. In the end, Lin Guanqi was sentenced to life imprisonment for intentional homicide, rape, tax evasion, and other crimes. On the day he was taken away, the officer who came was a young woman. It had been a long time since we last met, and she had already become a full-fledged officer. Across the distance of a car, she smiled, and I smiled too. See, both you and I have waited long enough. Before Lin Guanqi left, he asked me, did you ever love me, even for just a single moment? Every minute and every second by your side fills me with utter disgust. Within days, news came from the prison that Lin Guanqi had committed suicide. In that instant, an intense electric current surged through my entire body. The pain was so severe that I passed out. When I woke up, I felt suffocated by the weight pressing down on me. My chest ached as if pierced by a knife. System, host, the original male lead has disappeared. It is recommended that you immediately choose Lu Changzhou as the new male lead to proceed with the plot. Otherwise, the pain will intensify, and you will never be able to return. Is that so? I let out a low laugh, pulled out the 4-needle, stumbled to the top floor of the hospital, the 20th floor, stepped onto the edge of the balcony. Shoo shoo. Lu Changzhou stood a few steps away, his expression anxious. I looked at his features, and that faint sense of familiarity gradually faded. I shook my head. I'm Shu Shu, Shu, as in Bian Shuhan's Shu. I was never Li Shutong. I am just myself. Lu Changzhou isn't him either. That young man sacrificed himself long ago. I refuse to admit defeat, and he refuses even more. He once told me to keep moving forward. As long as your bones are strong enough, they won't be broken. We can never become puppets of others. It's time to end everything. I leaped down from the stage. Lu Changzhou, be yourself. Goodbye. The wind howled in my ears as my body plummeted rapidly. For 98 days, 3 hours, and 4 minutes in this world, every single second has only strengthened my resolve to return. The way home was never through obedience, but through destruction. Shatter everything broken and rotten. The man on the balcony struggled to stand up from the ground, his pale skin covered in cracks, a trace of blood seeping from the corner of his mouth. Yet, the corners of his lips curled into a smile, his expression one of unrestrained arrogance. Standing at the edge, he let his hands go slack and leaned backward. You are not Li Shutong, and I am not Lu Changzhou. None of us can become another's puppet. The original male and female leads vanished. Their protagonist aura shattered, the shackles of character constraints were lifted. In this grand world, who truly holds the leading role? The author's words don't count, only what you say matters. Everyone can be the protagonist of their own world. System 001 has violated primary laws and has been sent to the disposal zone. Everyone, welcome home. A crisp, click sound reached my ears. The absurd world order collapsed. A new order was slowly and systematically taking its place. A sudden white light flashed before my eyes as a passage to another world gradually opened. After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe.